You know how I know football is starting back up again? It was announced today that Randy Gregory was suspended again.
Wow.
This is Randy Gregory's fourth fucking suspension since being selected by the Dallas Cowboys in the second round of the 2015 NFL Draft. Get this. Randy 420 Gregory has been suspended for more games, 30, than he's played in, 28. I mean, fuck Beauty and the Beast. A tale as old as time is Randy Gregory and teammate David Irving being suspended to start an NFL season. That's for damn sure. Unfucking believable.
Are you kidding me? That's right! Who do you think you are?
You've tuned into Prem Brulee,
I am!
the number one podcast in your headphones. Don't ever get it twisted, don't ever play yourself.
Who do you think you are? I am!
Prem Brulee is brought to you by Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors too, so that you can get paid to podcast. I used Anchor to distribute this very episode, and so that all the amazing listeners of the number one podcast in your headphones can enjoy Prem Brulee on whatever platform they prefer. I love how easy Anchor makes it to edit and post episodes. So, if you've always wanted to start a podcast and make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start. That's anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters number one listeners. Using Anchor. You've tuned in to another edition of Prem Brulee, if you couldn't already tell from the spicy opener. Without further ado, let's get going on some Yeah Fam or Not. First up is Zion Williamson should sit out the remainder of the season. So, Zion Williamson, largely the number one prospect in the upcoming NBA draft, suffered a knee injury 30 seconds into their rivalry game against UNC, which was eventually won by UNC. Everybody's seen the clip. His foot came through his shoe while his other knee buckled. Luckily, it ended up just being a sprain. Zion's been day-to-day, has missed Duke's last two games. But his injury and potential severity, thankfully not, brings up a bigger issue. And that's the inability for players to go to the NBA straight from high school. I think it's ludicrous to think a player can't take a chance on testing out going pro. I believe it is their decision to make, and if a guy's talented enough and a team is willing to draft that person, they shouldn't have to spend 1 year in college while they take meaningless courses that they don't give a shit about. Do you think Zion Williamson is really pursuing an active academic schedule right now? Yes, he's at Duke, but what do we really think he's taking? When Greg Oden went to Ohio State, it was widely known he took some bullshit classes. He knew he was going to the league. Why not just let him go? So on principle alone, I'm a yeah fam, but
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
I know this won't end up happening because ballers ball. Zion Williamson's not going to live in fear like this. He's going to want to play. He's going to want to go through this one collegiate season with his teammates and see how far a very talented Duke team can take it into the NCAA tournament. So I'm a FM to the thought of this just because on principle alone, I think we do enough to set collegiate athletes back. We don't need another thing to prevent them from earning some money. I think it's a shame, and I think the rule needs to be changed back to allowing 18-year-olds to enter the NBA draft. Okay, you knew this was coming. The biggest headline of recent was Patriots owner Robert Kraft being charged with soliciting prostitution after a bust was made in Jupiter, Florida. So we know some of the details by now. But guys, okay, two consenting adults is one thing. But this, quote, massage parlor was reportedly holding immigrants from China against their will. Sure, Kraft might have not known that, but also, Robert Kraft is a very rich man going to a strip mall to get a happy ending. There's something kind of wrong with that scenario. Kraft was reportedly there the day of the Patriots AFC Championship game and was even seen soliciting prostitution on video surveillance just 17 hours earlier on January 19th. He was officially charged with 2 misdemeanor counts of first-degree solicitation. A court date has been set for 8:30 a.m. on April 24th. Kraft's got like a low-level arrest warrant, so it's similar to a traffic ticket. He won't actually need to physically appear in court. He can send his lawyer instead. Listen, man, I'm a nod of this. Robert Kraft should know better. People in general should know better. Going to a strip mall to do that sort of thing. Listen, judgment-free zone over here, but these rich people getting into problems like this just don't have a lot of sympathy for it. Have all the resources in the world to avoid places like this, and yet you still get caught. I'm a nod of this. Yes, I heard all the jokes. Patriots got their 7th ring. Robert Kraft just can't do it, man. Just can't do it. No, everybody's happy to see the Patriots take an L, but I'd rather see them lose on the football field than something like this. Last up on Yeah Fam or Nah. Speaking of the beginning of football, the NFL Combine is on the horizon. Yeah Fam or Nah to the Underwear Olympics. Alright, so I'm a yeah fam to the concept of the unofficial start of the draft process. It makes things exciting. I love the NFL draft. I love the concept of a team getting better from new blood being injected into the roster. But something's just kind of odd about parading these athletes around just to do drills and judging heavily on these drills. And by the way, these drills are some that many believe don't measure and translate to football abilities necessarily. Another thing, if you're going to be invited, though, compete. Can't stand when quarterbacks show up and do not do drills. I realize there's an interview component to the combine and a chance to meet with teams and create an impression, but how about actually competing? Read somewhere that Kyler Murray was considering not throwing there. Where's the competitive juices? I want a guy that wants to showcase in front of everyone with all the cameras around, because, newsflash, your career is not going to be much different than that. I believe we've officially cycled away from players not doing drills, and that part makes me happy because I believe all of the recent quarterback draft choices that have been selected in the first round, all but one have done drills at the combine, and the one that didn't was Sam Darnold. Don't be a Sam Darnold.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
My boy Dwayne Haskins, who should be the top quarterback taken. Don't ever get that twisted. Don't ever forget it. Haskins is going to be thrown at the combine, so good on him. That's my boy. That's why I ride with that man.
Who do you think you are? I am.
Alright, let's move on to Like You Know, Like You Hate It. I'm actually pretty positive for this round. You see what happens when I don't have football pains to deal with? So the first likey is the fact that somehow the Dallas Cowboys have the 10th highest salary cap at $47.9 million. Color me surprised. The current NFL leaders in cap space, some notable ones, the Colts are number one with nearly $108 million in cap room. The Jets come in at second at $99.6 million. The Browns are third at $79.3 million. So just a couple of names to note there. Anyway, being the pessimist of a fan I am, yes, it is great the Cowboys have nearly $48 million in cap room, but they have some assignments on hand that I believe they are working on. They are working on a long-term deal for pass rushing defensive end DeMarcus Lawrence, who played on the franchise tag last year. They are trying to avoid doing that again. They, of course, are heading into the last year of quarterback Dak Prescott's rookie contract, and they have 2 years left on Ezekiel Elliott's rookie contract. The Jones family has said they would like to reward the two of those young stars going forward for the Cowboys. Oh, and don't look now, but also Amari Cooper re-signing is probably on the horizon to make officially make their first-round pick investment worth it, the one they traded to the Raiders. Speaking of the Raiders are on the top 10 list of cap room, and Oakland's probably thinking they better be with all the fucking talent they traded away. The Raiders come in at 6th with $71.2 million in cap room coming up. By the way, I won't do this often, but speaking of the Raiders and Cowboys, shout out to one of Jerry's sons, Stephen Jones, who's the executive VP for the Cowboys, saying the following, quote, "When the Raiders use our pick, we'll be watching Amari highlight tapes," end quote. Give me that alarm.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
Hell yeah, that's the fucking shit I'm talking about. Give me that petty shit. I love that. Maybe I'll watch highlights too while they're picking at 27 for Amari Cooper, who, don't ever get it twisted, by the way, did have a 1,000-yard receiving season, so sucks to suck, Oakland.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
It's as good of a time as any to remind you Kevin Durant has 0 rings, by the way, so speaking of Oakland, there you go. Double petty alert, hit it.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
On to the next likey, and that goes to Chad Johnson, aka Chad Ochocinco, who paid off a person's owed money for that particular person to avoid eviction. It's exactly why Twitter is awesome. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. I'm sure someone published a story about it. Some person replied to Chad on a tweet saying they were getting evicted, and Chad sent the person some money.
Wow.
Gotta love that, man. Moving over to the NBA, my next likey goes to Doc Rivers, who called a timeout in the Clippers game versus the Dallas Mavericks with 9.4 seconds left in the game while up 9 points. So you may think kind of an asshole move there, right? But in reality, it was so that the crowd could acknowledge Dirk Nowitzki in his last visiting game against the Clippers. Super dope move. I think it should be done more often. Doc Rivers got on their PA announcer mic and told the crowd to give it up to him so that he could get his fair due. And just super classy move, incredible move for someone who deserves it. So, love that. Hope that starts a trend. I don't have any no-likies for this week. Just go straight to the hot and cold. And I got a couple of hate-its here. So the first hate-it, let me lead you off with a quote. Quote, "In the playoffs, when we can plan for a team, prepare for a team, I still don't see anybody beating us in 7 games." End quote. That was from a Mr. Kyrie Irving, point guard for the Boston Celtics. I get having confidence in your team, but do you have to issue guarantees? Everybody knows it's no cakewalk. Forget about the other conference. First, the Boston Celtics have to get past at least likely 2 out of the other 3 top teams in the East. The Celtics are cream of the crop along with the Milwaukee Bucks, the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Toronto Raptors. So you're looking at playing one, maybe more likely 2 of those teams in a 7-game series. And never mind that, even if you get through that gauntlet, you have the Snakes from Oakland waiting for you. And you just gave each of these teams chalkboard material along the way. I mean, I get maybe motivating your team, but I don't get the angle here. You already know your team's good. It's the same team that made the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Who are you talking to right now? And by the way, Kyrie better hope the Celtics win it all after sitting out last year and his team making the Eastern Conference Finals like I just mentioned. His flat earth ass is going to have to prove his true value this postseason and cash the checks his mouth is issuing. Yikes, I love Kyrie Irving's smooth game, but I don't know about this move. I guess we'll have to wait and see come April, May, and June. He better hope it's June. I feel like I have to talk about this next one every single goddamn week. Hate it goes to people still questioning which quarterback should be taken first in the NFL draft. I need to hit this alert on people. Hold up.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
There are actually people out here trying to convince others that tiny-ass Kyler Murray is a better prospect than the cannon-armed Dwayne Haskins. I know our favorite Stephen A. Smith thinks Haskins is a running quarterback. But listen, don't be him. Fucking Kyler Murray over Dwayne Haskins. You fucking played yourself. And on that note, it's time for that section. You played yourself. In another genius segue.
Wow.
The first one is one of our resident violators, Stephen A. Smith, striking again. Man, this guy should just stick to talking basketball. Or just not talking football. So this time, our dude suggested that the Panthers would be a great landing spot for Le'Veon Bell. Totally forgetting and disregarding the fact that the Carolina Panthers have Christian McCaffrey, a young running back with a promising future, incredible couple seasons in the NFL, and a player whom they use a lot in their game plan. But then, of course, in true Stephen A. fashion, after he got corrected about Christian McCaffrey, instead of just catching himself and backtracking, he doubled down in true idiotic fashion. He cited Bell as an improvement to their receiving game. Yes, we all know Le'Veon Bell's a dual threat running back. He can pass catch. But there's no fucking way the Panthers are paying that much for Le'Veon Bell to be a primary receiver while they have Christian McCaffrey. So you can get the hell out of here. And even if they somehow on a long shot land Le'Veon Bell, does not make this man right. He had no fucking idea. Another edition of no preparations by Stephen A. Smith. Heading over to the NBA. Our next You Played Yourself goes to a DeMarcus Cousins. So DeMarcus received a technical foul for throwing a rogue shoe out of the way. So the story goes, Jeremy Lamb of the Charlotte Hornets, his shoe fell off in the middle of the game, and Cousins was moving the shoe out of the way so that no one stepped on it, got injured, twisted an ankle, whatever, tossed the shoe towards the sidelines and the floor, people sitting on floor seats. All of a sudden the whistle blows, and Cousins got called for a technical foul. If it was anyone else, I'd say the refs played themselves. But it's not.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
Kevin Durant has 0 rings, and so will Boogie Cousins at the end of this season. Hit that alert. Thank you very much.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
Fuck out of here, Warriors. Okay, I saved my favorite for last. You Played Yourself goes to Jim Harbaugh. So, good old khaki pants announced that he's taking his Michigan football team to South Africa this May. Harbaugh's past trips included taking the team to Rome and another one to Paris. His past trips do not, however, include any trips to Indianapolis for the Big Ten championship game. Thank you, Kawhi. I felt like you could do that better job than I could. This guy will travel thousands and thousands of miles across the globe, but he can't make the under 300-mile trip from Michigan Stadium to Lucas Oil in downtown Indy. What beautiful, beautiful poetry. You keep making those trips. I'd rather travel to Indianapolis anyway, you're right. You have those experiences out in South Africa, and other teams would just be focused on winning a conference championship at least. How's that sound, Jimmy? Fuck out of here. That brings us to who you got and what you feeling. Last episode had a little NBA All-Star theme to it. So last week's picks were my picks for an all-time slam dunk contest, for which my 4 competitors would be Vince Carter, Dominique Wilkins, Michael Jordan and LeBron James. Of course, I hated on LeBron James because he's never competed in a dunk contest, but in my hypothetical, this would be his first dunk contest he'd have to compete in, so I included him on there. Next, I talked about veteran QBs on the QB carousel in this upcoming offseason of the NFL. This coming after Joe Flacco was traded from the Ravens to the Broncos, leaving veteran quarterbacks on the market like Nick Foles, Ryan Tannehill, Tyrod Taylor, and Blake Bortles, all of which are expected to change teams coming up. I wanted to pick who's most intriguing, and I couldn't really go with any of these guys. I would much rather draft a rookie, specifically my boy Dwayne Haskins. You already know, the real Heisman Trophy winner. I don't give a shit what you say.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
But anyway, even including Flacco, none of these names jump out. I did mention last episode that I liked the idea of Tyrod Taylor being a presence in the locker room. He seemed like a great teammate and a really, really serviceable backup if something did happen to a potential rookie. So I really like Tyrod Taylor out of that group. I know Nick Foles is going to be a big name, but things people keep forgetting is I think Nick Foles is an ideal situation in Philadelphia with a coach that knows how to cater to him, because he has not really panned out in other locations outside of Philadelphia. And the other thing I went over was either, neither, or both for new football leagues joining the wave. So, of course, the AAF has had a couple weeks in the system, and the XFL is due to start next year. While I hope both leagues last, I don't foresee both lasting. My pick was for either. I want both to happen, but my pick is definitely for one of the leagues to at least last a little bit. The way it looks like for the AAF, I'm not sure how sustainable they can have. They already had an investor have to come and essentially save them, and so we'll see how it goes. I like to think it's either at least, and hopefully not neither. This week I have a few big names who are due to sign off big contracts coming up. So we went over the Manny Machado deal with the Padres on last episode. It still does leave Bryce Harper unsigned and on the market, reportedly mulling different offers, and new to the fold and reemerged are the Los Angeles Dodgers. So Bryce Harper is reportedly considering a short-term deal instead of a 10-year contract that was previously reported. Harper has expressed interest in staying out west. He's from Las Vegas. So this week I wanted to pick between a short-term deal or take the money. And before I go there, speaking of big contracts, the Rockies just extended the contract of third baseman Nolan Arenado on a 8-year, $260 million contract, making him the highest per year salary for a position player. Man, it'd be good to be Nolan and in a hitter's park such as the one out in Colorado. So good for him. That is a nice chunk of change for him moving forward in his baseball career. Back to Harper. If he wants to be on the West Coast, if he wants to be on a contender, I say short-term deal. Go for it. Bet on yourself. We're talking about kind of an off-season for Harper. He's still getting huge offers reportedly and has turned down some big ones. But if he kind of wants to change the narrative here and make it about winning, he'll sign a short-term deal with a contender, maybe get himself some success in the postseason, and if he does have a tremendous season coming up, he'll be able to sign another big contract. So I love the idea of betting on yourself, and would make him seem like he is a pure competitor and wants to win right now. So I love that move personally. I have a feeling he might go with that, but who knows? Someone might come out of the woodwork and offer him even more. But he might benefit from these other two big contracts. Manny Machado's 10-year, $300 million contract for the Padres, and Nolan Arenado's extension for $260 million over 8 years. Sure as hell does benefit Bryce Harper because he can use them as a measuring stick and one to go over. Moving on to another big name, this time in a different sport, Le'Veon Bell, who we talked about earlier, is officially free from the Steelers' grasp. Where does he sign? It is reported that the main contenders are the Texans, the Packers, and the Jets. And I wanted to pick between those, or maybe if there was another option, a wild card. And I am going to go with Houston. Yes, I'll knock on wood for my family because they would absolutely love Le'Veon Bell to add to the incredible combo of Deshaun Watson and Nuke Hopkins. Be quite the upgrade from Lamar Miller. Le'Veon Bell in his prime added to the prime or even pre-prime of Deshaun Watson, and one of the best receivers in the game in DeAndre Hopkins would be a force to be reckoned with. And I mentioned the cap room, the top 10 cap rooms in the NFL. The Texans are on that list at number 5. They have $78 million in cap room. So they definitely have the money Le'Veon Bell is wanting and talking about, and the money he sat out the season for. So if he's looking for the perfect combination of contender and money, I put him on the Texans, and again, knock on wood for my family who are Texans fans. As for what I'm feeling, definitely getting to see Travis Scott in concert for the second time in less than 3 months. Incredible. The dude's setup is fantastic. Very Kanye West Glow in the Dark tour like. You will not regret going to see that show. And the best part is tickets are pretty affordable, so I would recommend it if you are a hip-hop fan, if you're a Travis Scott fan, to check it out. And you know how I like to end each episode. It's with my Too Much Sense, the advice I love giving. And this week's is a personal one for you, boy. It's about learning to accept people's different processes, even if they don't align with yours. This is something I'm constantly working on, constantly failing at, constantly recognizing, but nonetheless, it's important to know that some people process situations, conflicts, emotions differently. And while you may think your way is right, it's okay to apply it, but you also have to accept when someone doesn't prefer the same method as you. People are going to be how they are. This ain't Burger King. You can't always have it your way. It's important to state your piece in a way that makes you comfortable, but it's at the same time important to be respectful of how other people say theirs. So it's my Too Much Sense for the week, and one I do constantly apply and need to apply. And that'll do it for another edition of Prem Brulee. I appreciate the support, the listens. Please go on, rate, review the podcast. I would greatly appreciate all the feedback. Please pass it on to others. It is always appreciated. Tell a friend to tell a friend. It's the number one podcast in your headphones. Don't ever get it twisted. Don't ever play yourselves. And as always, I got to thank the number one listeners. So please continue to expand the brand. We greatly appreciate it. Check out the other podcasts on the Play Call Network. And we'll talk to you next time.